Things are not going great here in the workshop. The last few projects have experienced their fair share of failure. I want to make 3D printed Damascus powder metallurgy art. The last time I tried it, it was awful. Let's see if we can improve upon it. Let me show you what we're going to do different. One of our big issues was contrast. When we tried to make a cool drawing of my dog Crazy, 15N20 areas, the powder being technically 1095 powder plus 4% nickel, appeared splotchy. And we queried in the video whether pure nickel powder would work for this task. Unfortunately, one of you emailed me a link to a website that sells pure nickel powder here in England. So we've got some, and if I thought this stuff was the most expensive powder I'd ever bought, pales in comparison to this. Whoa. Oh, for goodness sake. It's like when you buy a bag of crisps these days. 140 Great British pounds sterling, about $180 for 1 kilo or 2.2 pounds. Come into my office. I want to run some experiments to see how we can get the most contrast possible now that we have a pure nickel powder. So I've designed another PLA canister in Onshape, and we've got it programmed and ready to print. Now this is going to allow us to put a different mixture of steel powder with added nickel in every single ring to see what looks the best when it's surrounded by 1095. We're basically making our own color palette. Now, we didn't run into any issues with this the last time that we were trying it, but I was using a white PLA on the assumption that would have the least additional stuff in it. Turns out, as I've learned from our own Discord, thank you Vault, the white in PLA comes from titanium dioxide. What does titanium dioxide do, Jamie? It makes spray paint white, and it's a technique that we're able to use to make sure that the contents of a canister don't stick to the outside of a canister. So though we didn't seem to get any issues as a result of that, we should probably go ahead and avoid it. Natural. Problem, Jamie, that's support. It's not actual PLA. That was a waste of time. Let's put a different color on.
I thought it was supposed to be 3D, and it's bloody grey, not orange.
Here's the plan. 1095 powder, the dark in our regular Damascus, filling up the outer portion of the canister. Then pure nickel powder, 50% nickel, 50% 1095, 10% nickel, the original 4% nickel. And this means that we can determine the contrast between all of our nickel options and the 1095. So we'll start mixing. 90 grams 1095.
It looks like you've just weed on top of the 1095 and made it dark.
It does as well, doesn't it? Oh, I went over. Now our 50% nickel. Whoop. Nice. We've got our parts ready, and I've included a vent hole here. Remember in the last episode we referenced Lou Griffin's recent explorations with the 3D printed Damascus making? Well, he gave me a tip to use a vent hole, so thank you very much. And I was just about to slot this inside here, Jamie, but then I remembered, actually,
It doesn't bloody fit.
Ha! Would you look at that? Well, it's convenient because of the next thing I was going to say. I don't need the sidewalls. The sidewalls are completely redundant and just add to more PLA to burn out. So why I put them there in the first place, I don't know. That doesn't mean we can get rid of them. This would have been a much quicker print as well without the sidewalls. The nickel does not pour very easily. No, it's not going to work. We're not going to get it in there, Jamie.
You'll have to do it in this big, thick part in the middle.
Oh, you're saying flip the orientation, put the nickel in the middle. It just won't pour. I'm going to make a funnel, Jamie. Yes! What a time to be alive, Jamie. That is so cool. It's like it's made for it. Now we'll just cap it all off. Ah! Oh no! I'm preheating it and it's turned into quite the candle. Ah, in she goes. Give her a squeeze, shall we? Wait. That looks funny. You can see the pattern already.
Looks like a fossil.
Looks about as consolidated as a 10-year-old fossil, which isn't great. But we can see the pattern more than we've ever seen it, that's for sure. I think the orange PLA has burnt away worse than the white PLA. Delivery just turned up. Check this out. Ta-da! Niels Ogren, axe-making fanatic and a real expert on the subject. He's got a YouTube channel and he just came out with a book, which is awesome. And it made me remember that he's also got a really beautiful website where he's got an email mailing list that you can subscribe to. He sells his book as well as an ebook version and his beautiful axes. And the best part is he did what I hope you will do. He went to squarespace.com/forge and very kindly used our coupon code FORGE to build that website with Squarespace. And my dream for all of you watching is that you all have a beautiful website to sell your products and promote your business and fund your hobbies that you call work. Squarespace is made for you. We've used it to book appointments with students, sell physical and digital products. And I want you to do the same by going to squarespace.com/forge, where you're going to get a free trial. Code FORGE is going to get you 10% off your purchases with Squarespace. That includes your domain purchase because it's all in one, no plugins, patches, or upgrades ever. We love Squarespace and we appreciate them sponsoring this video. Let's get back to it. All of it looks contrasty. Remember, the outer ring was now the 4% nickel, and then it's 10% nickel, 50% nickel, pure nickel. We didn't know if the pure nickel would work as powder being forge welded together. It did, which is really special, because that's a little discovery for us to make. Well, I think it's abundantly clear, the higher the proportion of nickel, the more the contrast. However, the higher the Actually, there's a sweet spot, Jamie. It's not the higher percentage of nickel, the better the contrast, because look at the pure nickel, Jamie. It has a certain brown hue to it. In fact, the highest contrast is at our 50% nickel, 50% 1095 mix. Interesting. Clearly, the working of a billet in all these directions has the effect of messing up the pattern, because that's not the nice, perfect round that it was. It's gotten all funky from forging. We could help that with some more appropriately sized V-dies. Another idea that comes to mind is to do a little bit more like a canvas. So instead of working in block form, working more kind of two-dimensionally and supporting the outsides better. I think part of the problem with these canister welds is when you squish things with a thin wall, everything like creases and bunches. And so when that tubing bunches and folds around, it means that along the length of it, there's all these irregularities, and it'll be moving and pushing the powder around. When you have a solid bar, you don't get this same effect. It just kind of deforms better. And I have been wondering if maybe thicker wall tubing for the canister would be a good help, or doing a much lower profile weld, really well supported around the outside would help. And I think I'd quite like to test both of those theories. In terms of thicker tubing, that's a good bit thicker, isn't it, Jamie?
Thing is, don't you want it thicker, but also narrower on the inside?
Do you mean thicker wall relative to the...
Yeah.
There we go. Now look at that ratio.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Is that the ticket? Way larger wall to internal dimension ratio. Is that going to help us make a much smoother, more consistent canister weld? I've also had another thought, Jamie, which is when I make all these prints, sure, on the last one, we cut off the excess around the sides because we don't need it. But there was then a big plate on the bottom. Surely, the less PLA in there, the better. Do I need a big plate on the bottom? If I'm trying to center this inside a potential can, hard. But does that mean that I need PLA all around the base? What if I just had a few struts? Boom, 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 boom. Reducing the amount of PLA that's in there to the absolute minimum. This here is also a test piece at an even thinner wall thickness of 0.4 millimeters. I've improved my drawings and I think I can now recreate 0.4 millimeter prints. So let's now get rid of a big wide base, reduce the wall thickness of the PLA, use a way thicker wall thickness of our steel canister, and see if that helps keep this from deforming. So this is what we've got. 3 legs to index it. Let's see how she does. We're gonna put it back to the white PLA. Look at that thing go. Whoa! Whoa! Damn. Oh, that's maybe not a good thing. I think it's pouring all the powder out the top.
It's flying out the top.
You see that? Look, it's like, whoa. That powder's meant to be staying in there, not burning.
Well, too late now.
Oh, committed. While that's cooling and before we cut into it, I've got this ready to print. And you'll see it's very different cross-section to normal. This is flat, like a picture. What's going to happen if instead of forging from all 6 sides of a rectangle or a cube, we only forge from the top and the bottom? Can we still get it to squish? And is this going to allow us to keep the proportions of these really fine detailed prints to finally get that picture Damascus that I'm really after? Look at this. I'm making you in plastic. How does it look? You've got to be joking. It's crap, Jamie. It's awful. It hasn't at all welded. That really shows that the only way you can get this stuff to weld, especially through the gap caused by the PLA, is really changing the dimensions a lot. Just upsetting it and gently kind of kneading the outside isn't enough because it hasn't at all consolidated through the areas where there was that plastic. What that does mean is that print that I have set up over there
Ain't gonna work.
Nah, no chance it's gonna work. Gotta really do a lot of metal moving and like squishing and back and forth. That music sounds a lot happier than I am. Jamie, even with this complex picture, I think I can pull it off, hitting it from all 6 sides. I'm not gonna deform it as much. If I encapsulate this in a really meaty block of steel, I can hit it from all 6 sides and I won't have to do a lot of deformation to compress absolutely everything. I think I've still got a shot at this. These 2 eye holes, as well as the end of her snout, that's too small to get this clunky 50-cent nickel mixture into it. So what I'm gonna do instead is take some nickel sheet, cut it to size, and shove it down there. Hopefully it'll do the job. It feels good. It feels solid. We're taking it nice and slow. I'm trying to make sure I just do not deform it too much in any particular direction. Still quite square, so I'm cautiously optimistic at the moment. Is this success?
Is it cool now?
Yeah, it's cool now. I'm gonna weld this bit of box session so that we can put it in the bandsaw. Oh, there's no holes. Jamie. There's no holes. There's no holes. It looks solid. It's solid, Jamie. Get in!
We're not out of the doghouse yet, though.
No, no, no.
I wouldn't get your bedding off the sofa too quickly.
Oh. As in, if you're in the doghouse, you're sleeping on the sofa, so don't get your bedding off the sofa because you're still in the doghouse.
Yeah.
Were you thinking about that while you were sleeping on the sofa last night, Jamie? There's a slight bit of funkiness here, though. Does anything show up? Have we cut in deep enough to get through the mild steel jacket?
Probably not, because you never do.
And here I was thinking I took a very healthy cut as well. It doesn't look like it, does it? Look at it from this angle, it looks like a fetus. You're like a cartoon drawing of a fetus. We should have left it in like another 2 months, Jamie. Another slice. Dull blade! Dull blade alert! It's dull! It's cutting on an angle. Always a sure sign that the blade is... Oh, bugger! It's really bad. That's a lot of wasted material there when the blade cuts like that. Let's change this blade. There goes another $100. Oh! You can see little vestiges of it, right? We're gonna mill it flat. It's gonna be so easy to mill flat. Whoa! perfect!
It looks great.
Oh my goodness. That is everything I had hoped and dreamed of making. We're gonna polish this thing up, either belt grinder or surface grinder, then hand sand it, proper etch. See this thing in all its glory. Haven't used this in a while, let's see if I can remember how. This is exactly what I hoped and dreamed of. We have made an awesome Damascus picture of that fine animal. And it started from that. Oh! I do think mixing in 50% nickel to that powder means that those shiny areas have a slight spotchiness to them. So if you don't catch it in the right light, you can see some of those little dots, and you'd really need to get in there and finally polish over those areas. I am absolutely elated with the lack of distortion, the fact that this is exactly the proportions we were going for. This is a piece of art that I'm going to treasure my whole life. Please go build yourself a website at squarespace.com/forge. Use code FORGE at checkout for 10% off. We appreciate them sponsoring us. And of course, I appreciate you being here. Bye-bye.